This week on the podcast, we're joined by comedian Devin Bramble, and we've written songs about Princess Mononoke. Did you guys know the studio really pushed for a night in this movie? But Miyazaki said no. And one of the executives said, "Come on, give me just one night. Mononoke!" That's a parody of the 98 Degrees song, "Give Me Just One Night, Uno Noche."
Okay, so I didn't know the song.
Yeah.
Off mic, Rob just asked if we knew that song, and I said, "Oh, maybe if I hear it." And then I heard it, and I don't know it.
And the crazy part is that I'm such a hipster that when you said you probably don't know it and then did the joke, I was like, "Oh yeah, I know that song, but I don't know if I really know it or if my ego cannot sustain being trumped like that." So I'm like, "Oh no, yeah, I definitely know that song."
If there's one thing I'm not afraid to tell, it's a joke that only appeals to me. Hello, and welcome to the Royds Review Podcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Andy.
And we are back once again talking about 1997's Princess Mononoke with comedian Devin Bramble. Devin, how you doing?
Great, fantastic.
It is great for you to join us. I'm butchering this, slurring my speech, tripping over my words. Devin, do our audience a favor. Tell us where they can find you on the socials and let us know of any dates that you got coming up.
Here's the crazy part. It's at Devin Bramble, DEVIN BRAMBLE, everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, my email. If you want to pester me as a human being, go for it. Yeah, Devin Bramble at everything.
You came very close to doxing yourself there, I felt like. You're like, my email, my home address is...
my social security number.
You know what? If you Google my name, you get like an address that I lived in like 3 homes ago. So, you go harass them, I guess. I don't know what they're up to. Don't do it. We previously had a conversation about not putting this. I specifically was given legal counsel before this not to put anything in writing or in video. And I've already broken half of those rules. Yeah, don't do that. They're cool people, presumably.
It's so funny you say that because, like, I Google myself because, I'm a narcissist.
Yeah.
And I find it's the same thing. I find my name, and it's an address I haven't lived in 15 years. I'm like, all right.
And it's always after someone is like, "Hey, man, I Googled you and I know where you live." It's like, no, you don't.
I assure you, you're wrong.
You know where a wonderful white family of 4 lives. Don't go on their land, man. That's a whole different story. A whole different demographic of people lives there now. You will get in trouble.
Devin, can you give us any dates you got coming up so our fine listeners can come and see you?
You know what? Stick to my socials. I got a lot of stuff that I am waiting for the promo to drop. A lot of New Year stuff.
Well, I just gave Devin a follow on the Instagram. I suggest you do the same, listeners.
I already do, Andy.
Definitely do that. My self-esteem is very tied to it. It's very important to me.
Andy, how are you doing? We didn't even ask you.
Oh, now he asks.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine, Robbie. I'm fine. How about you?
I'm good. Devin, you know what I really appreciated about your socials? Is it's the same thing everywhere.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many people I ask, give me your socials. And I'm like, all right, on Instagram, I'm something that's totally different from my name. On Twitter, I'm Blorble Snap. And I'm like, well, you're fucked, dude. No one's following you anywhere.
Yeah. The difficult part is it's also just my name. I've luckily been gainfully employed at a place for 10 years. So employment verifications are not something I've had to worry about. But, God forbid I had to seek alternative employment real quick. I definitely have to be like, hey, don't look me up though. Like, just please don't trust me. I'm not like a pedophile or anything. Just legit. Don't touch me, please. Don't put my name into anything. Any search bar you come across, don't put my name in it, please. Just trust me. I'm a good guy.
That makes it so much worse, dude.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not a pedophile. People are gonna be like, this dude's a pedophile.
Because they'll like that. I guarantee you, they'll like that. Like, because you don't post heinous shit. You're not like me.
Yeah. No, my coworkers that do know about my stuff and they watched it and liked it. They had me do like 2 years ago at a Christmas party. They were like, do 10 minutes of comedy. And I went up, I don't know why I did this. I'm just a self-destructive person. I did like all of my dirtiest material. Like specifically all of my like dirtiest, only comics like stuff. Just, I don't know, for the thrill of it. But they liked it. They vibed with it, so it was cool. But I sat down afterwards and I was like, why did I do that? It was nothing.
If it was your job and it's like the corporate setting, they probably loved it because they're like, yeah, Devin's letting loose.
Yeah, no, that was it. They were like, oh, because they, I'm not really that side of me over there. So that was an element of like, oh my. So they definitely were with it. But I was like, I had nothing to gain and everything to lose there. So don't know why I did that.
I did the same thing a few years ago for a work holiday party. They actually hired me and they asked me to hire some comedians.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I was like, yeah, you're going to pay me to do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
No, I was almost unemployed for free. That was just for.
And I remember a woman coming up to me like, Robert, I've never heard you say those words before. I was like, well, that's because we don't talk here.
Yeah.
I've never spoken to you.
You've never heard me say any words.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's because in the mornings, you just hear me go, good morning. Good morning.
Yeah.
Hey, Devin, is it cool if we ask you some more questions so our audience gets to know you a little bit?
Absolutely.
We'll do this.
Book.
Awesome. We'll do this rapid fire style. I got 3 questions. What about you, Andy?
Same.
I'll go first. Yo, Devin, what is a non-violent punishment that you would like to dish out on someone, and what would it be for?
Ooh, a non-violent punishment. I'm a very petty person, so this is right up my alley. This is the sort of
Tom or Richard?
This is the sort of thing that I think about. Oh, neither. Because as I said, not a pedophile. So,
well, no,
I don't know.
No, Tom Petty and Richard Petty are famous people.
Yeah, no, I know. But,
okay.
No. I know.
Tom Petty was a singer, and Richard Petty, I think, was a race car driver.
Hey, you're famous. You're probably a pedophile.
No, that's sort of what I was going for. That those, I thought they both were singers, and I know they're from a certain era where a lot of them got allegations. So I was just casting a stone in the dark there. No, actually, no. Tom Petty is cool. I'm
covered all your bases.
Yeah. But let's see. I don't know. What would I do? I'd probably do something that's like a very tiny pain over a very long period of time. I'd make it so that whenever their car starts, they got to start it 3 times every time.
Oh, I like that.
Start. You got to do it 3. Just no. Because you know what? When you're having a good day, it's not that big a deal. That's just the way your car works. But on a bad day, on their worst day, when they're at their absolute limit, and they get in there and it goes no. Occasionally on their worst day, I want it to take 4 times. Just 4 times. Just one more time. But when they do it that 3rd time and it doesn't start, they're going to kill themselves. They have to, pretty much.
Yeah.
And why would I make somebody do that? I don't know. Probably if they messed with someone I felt they didn't deserve it. Which seems like a paradoxical sort of system, but yeah, I don't know. I hate when people get messed with, and it's like, leave that guy alone, man. He doesn't have the capacity to.
I have to be totally honest. This question was actually inspired by our viewing of last week's Serial Mom, when the woman cuts her off in traffic, so she sits there prank calling her constantly.
Okay, yeah.
So in my head, I was like, what would be a non-violent way? So I like that answer though. Make it
because that answer requires like effort on the person's part. That's not a good punishment for me because then I'm being punished. That's not a good. Right. That's I'm a big theme of this movie. I'm a big revenge is bad guy, but mostly because I got to do the revenge. No one does revenge for you. You got to do the revenge. I got to take time out of my day to do revenging, and I'm just punishing myself at that point. So. You know, if I could spiritually punish somebody, or like a cosmic force is handling it, and I don't gotta have my hands in the till, as it were, sure, whatever, why not?
If I could take away someone's god.
Devin, what are your top 3 favorite bands or musical artists?
Ooh, top 3 musical artists. So I'd have to put Pavement up there. I'm a big Pavement head. Big fan of like 90s indie rock, that era of music for sure. Then top 3 is hard because there's so many genres.
Right.
I'm gonna have to try to get a quick representation across all of the genres. So I'm also a big fan of the Weaker Thans. That's a Canadian folk punk band that I'm also a really big fan of. That's like a little bit later than Pavement. That's more like early 2000s. They got a bunch of different styles. They have like country punk one and more of a classical indie rock one. And the dude, I think John K. Sampson is his name, but I probably screwed that up completely. It's been a minute since I looked that up.
That sounds like a serial killer.
Yeah. Dude, he was part of a punk band called Propaganda that was very popular in the 90s. And he's a very great
I think that's what Mussolini used to get into power. Propaganda.
Nice. Nice.
He's very good at creating a sort of like introspective, suburban sort of malaise in a way that's not very common. And then I guess for a third one, I'm gonna have to put the rapper Young Thug up there. Switch it up completely. I'm a big Young Thug fan, big Young Thug head. I'm a big like YGL Slime type fan of him and his whole cohort of folks. Big fan of Southern rap in general. I'm a big Southern rap guy. I like Atlanta
so like
rap
Kid Rock
specifically. Yeah, like Kid Rock. Yeah, that would I don't know if that would be my top 3, but that would be a good general summary of my musical tastes.
And of course, if we asked for 4, we know what number 4 would be. This happens a lot.
Yeah, the Wiggles is 4.
Oh no!
Big.
Well, I guess we'd be number 5 then.
Yeah, the Royds would be number 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're usually number 4.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you guys are after the Wiggles. You guys are my number 2.
Right.
Okay.
We often get compared
adjacent.
to the Wiggles.
Yeah. Yes.
Devin, what is one household item that you would do away with forever? Real quick, thank you so much for listening. If you want to send us some feedback, send us an email at roydsreview@gmail.com. That's ROYDSREVUE@gmail.com.
You could also find our music on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your music by searching The Royds. That's ROYDS. We have 2 albums and a Christmas song. Hope you like it.
One household item that I would do away with forever.
And it's not like you just throw yours out. No one has access to this thing anymore.
No one has any of them anymore. Jeez, I'm a big fan of household items. I'm a big fan of convenience. So now this is more a test of like what I have to get rid of. What sacrifice would I have to make?
I've asked this question once previously, and Zach Zorovich had a great answer of he'd get rid of plungers because in his mind, that would force the toilet makers to make better toilets.
Ooh, okay. So he's thinking in a whole different, that's a very genius answer.
Yeah.
That's a real 4D chess type. I did not think about how my answer was going to affect society and manufacturing. And
Right.
I certainly wasn't thinking about it from the point of view of like logistics.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I guess in that case, I would see. I don't want to piggyback off his answer because then my immediate thing was get rid of the scrubbers. Then, so they got to figure out some sort of material that shit cannot attach to, some sort of shit-proof material.
The whole point of this podcast is really to fix the toilet industry.
Yeah. We're getting in on big plumbing. We're finally taking them to task. for sitting
Yep.
back on their laurels and
It's
taking
about
in our
damn
bucks.
time.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
men in our 30s who drink a lot of beer and don't eat very healthily, we need better toilets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Very true. Ooh. Okay, we should get rid of remotes so that
Okay.
they finally invent. No. I was gonna say TVs with our mind, but they're already working on that, and I don't trust those guys.
Yeah. It's
So,
too
uh,
spooky. Yeah.
I ain't getting
Yeah.
a chip in this brain.
Yeah. No. Plus,
They
I've
just run
spilled a-
ads 24/7
Yeah.
right in your noggin.
yeah. Plus, I've spilled a lot of beer on technology, and I know that they don't mix. And my
Yeah.
brain is like 40% beer, so I just know the logistics won't add up. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I've never this question. I've learned something about myself in this question. Is that I'm very satisfied with the state of the appliance world and the household item world. Like I'm very content at exactly where we're at.
You know what? Well done, Cuisinart.
Yeah, like I think we've done it. We're a post-future society as far as our household items are concerned. We've done it. We've.
All right, Andy, what's your next question? Oh, go ahead.
No, not at all. Go for it. Next question.
What are your top 3 favorite comedians?
Oh boy, I'm gonna put Patton Oswalt up top. Big influence of mine for sure. Big Patton Oswalt stan for sure. Those like some of the first comedy albums that I was listening to, like back to front, front to back, over and over again. I definitely incorporate a lot of his whimsical style and a lot of the stuff that I do.
He's
For
great.
sure. I've put Paul F. Tompkins up there for sure. I'm a big Paul F. Tompkins head. Definitely, it's a very similar style to mine, where it's not offensive but not inoffensive. It's a little wholesome,
Sure.
but also a little cranky as
Yeah.
well. So no, definitely a big fan. And lastly, I would say, if I had to spin controversial, I'm also a big old Dave Chappelle head. Like I cannot deny how influential those like early specials were for
Of
me.
course. Yeah.
Watching a lot of those over and over again on a style of like another similar treading a line of being offensive and inoffensive at the same time. So a lot of those early albums, definitely for sure. I would put that as my 3 most influential for sure.
Nice.
Nice. I got one more, and this is a recurring question. And I do keep this list. I don't. I say I keep it. I don't keep a tally. Would you rather be a registered sex offender or in prison for the rest of your life? In either case, you didn't commit the crime.
Yeah,
That helps.
Yeah,
I'm sure it doesn't help.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. Is this the sort of trap where you
Book 'em, boys.
you just record me saying the words? I guess I would be a registered sex offender. I don't want to be in jail, man. That's a hell in its own making. I guess yes, I guess the question, you'd rather be judged or literally incarcerated. I guess the answer is judged.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to jail, man, for the rest of my life. No.
You know what I
Yeah.
think about when I ask this question a lot? I think about I think it was the Chris Rock bit when he talks about hiring Cochran as your lawyer. You ever see that bit?
Yeah.
And he talks about like, oh man, if you hire him, you must be guilty. It's like, yeah, well, I'd rather be guilty at the mall
Yeah.
than innocent and
Yeah.
in prison.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that's a hell in its own making. I can't do monotony. Like, I'm a big anti-monotony guy, and that's all prison is, man. Like that seems like obviously the violence and the constant threat in your body and orifices is definitely a
Well-
big part of why it's scary. But
No.
just the
If
idea
you're,
of having
if you're
to
in
do the
prison,
same
you're going to be
routine
poly.
forever. Yeah,
You're not monogamous in prison, like you said. You're,
Yeah. And I'm not a
me.
big fan of that, but I'm also not a big fan of just having to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Not that.
Andy got the joke I was going for. You said
monogamy, monotony.
yeah, and I changed it to monogamy, and I said in prison you'd be polyamorous. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
I thought it was just. I thought it was just general advice. I was.
No. I'm dumb as fuck and can't take anything seriously. If there is no word that I will not hook on to look for a play on.
Oh no. I get that and I'm game, but I guess I don't know. You're very wizened in my opinion of you. So when it's like yes, it's very true. When I go to prison, I will be poly. Like I was.
Yeah.
Once again, sage wisdom delivered from on high.
Yes, that's what that is.
All right, last question. What are your top 3 favorite movies?
Ooh, top 3 favorite movies. Man, these are so hard, man. Because I like, and these are. It's not just like name your top X, Y's are always difficult for me because I always feel that I want to have all the genres represented. Like even if singular genres stack the board, I'm like I want all the different elements to be in representation.
It's also like what are your favorite of those like today? Because that shit changes.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. What you saw recently. All right, I'll answer the question this way. These are 3 movies that I saw recently that are like these are definitely on the list of some of my favorite movies. I saw The Holdovers recently, which is a recent movie. It's like a Christmas movie about a guy who gets held over watching some kids at a boarding school.
That's Paul Giamatti, right?
Yes, yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things. I gotta watch this.
Yeah, I saw that movie and I was like, this might be a classic. Like I might be watching this every Christmas. So that's definitely it's a very well written movie. It feels very quick, even though it's it's got a measurable distance to it. The characters are very precise. Their arcs wrap up neatly in a way that makes you feel fulfilled, but also is very grounded. So definitely like that one. Definitely was a big fan of that.
I'm gonna pause you just for a second.
Yeah,
Devin, just by your vocabulary and the way you describe movies, Robbie, I think we got like a real movie guy for a guest.
Yeah,
which is a great change of pace.
Well, don't you remember? I think we got like 30 episodes into this podcast before someone actually mentioned the word cinematography.
Yeah.
So like, we ain't movie guys.
Yeah. We're dumb guys who, we're doing our best.
Yeah. I'm not really a movie guy either. I wanted to say that general things I have, but details and whatnot are not really in my milieu. Like those aren't really my cup of tea. But I'm decent at describing how something makes me feel. That's what I try to. I realize that most of this stuff, like especially with art, is about how it makes you feel. So I just try and describe and compare and contrast how something makes me feel, and the easiest language I can. What's the second movie, man? I hate that I can never do these lists. This happens to me all the time. And then I get frustrated because I'm like, first of all, you asked, what's your top 3 movies? And then I'm like, what's a movie I've ever seen? Like,
is a movie.
Yeah. So then I have to go to like, what's movies that I saw recently that really stood out? I'm watching a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. I watched True Lies recently for the first time. And that was extremely fun. I like that. I like that movie because Arnold Schwarzenegger, it seems at first like he's just supposed to be this like tough guy who's just going around being a big brute, using his force to get through different scenarios and whatnot. And that's what's endearing. But it's crazy that so many movies are about him like living in a fever dream or some sort of double life, or they usually have him playing some really weird, cerebral, out of his own head type stuff, which I find very interesting.
Yeah,
and also
too.
Yeah, he's cloned a lot. Yeah. And not only that, he has this whole mystique about him where no one ever mentions that he's like this massive Austrian guy. Like, he's never
Yeah.
he's never doing something a massive Austrian guy should be doing or where he should be doing it. So the fact that he even exists, he just sort of seems sort of weird that he's where he is and doing what he's doing. And then he's thrown into some sort of calamity where he's living a double life, where he's not who he thinks he is. The people around him aren't who he thinks he is. It's sort of like very Dave Bautista-esque. You sort of think he's like The Rock a bit, where he's playing the same guy over and over again. But it's more Dave Bautista, where he's taking a lot of weird angles to his roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bautista's a better actor than The Rock in every way.
Oh no, yeah, but I mean precisely because from the very beginning, which I really enjoyed. A lot of people rolled their eyes, and I did at first. But when I realized he was locking in, I got on the Bautista train. When he was like, "Oh, like I want to be taken super seriously," he was like, "I'm reading a lot of books. I'm wearing tight sweaters. Like I'm gonna be on tour at this shit." And a lot of people rolled their eyes, but he really dedicated himself to like. Did you guys see the new Blade Runner movie?
No.
In the new movie, you know, the like machines are on the run, and the Blade Runners are the people who like go after them, right? He plays the beginning of the movie. Spoilers for a movie that's 1 million years old. It's like the first 5 minutes, but he plays this guy who's one of the androids who used to be a soldier, but now he's undercover as a farmer, right? And as this farmer, he plays this meek little guy with these tiny little glasses on. But then as the investigation goes on, it's clear that both of them understand what's going on. And then he sort of, you know, becomes the soldier guy again, and they start to fight. What's crazy is Dave Bautista brought those tiny glasses on set. Like, that was his personal vision. And when I read that, I was like, okay, now he's starting to cook with some gas. Because he was like, I think my guy would have these tiny little fucking glasses. I saw him, I prepared with him, and I'm going to bring him on set. I'm doing my little guy, and he's having this. And I was like, you know what? This is it. The Rock would never show up and be like, hey, man.
No.
My Safari guy loves this hat. He's a big hat guy, and he loves this hat, and I'm wearing this. That's not what he does, man. That's not part of how he visualizes the experience. So, I definitely used to put Arnold Schwarzenegger in that camp. Where it's like, yeah, he's a big guy. He's out there making money, but he's clearly was picking his roles. To be like, what's the most obtuse, like non-stereotypical sort of perspective I could possibly take on this?
Schwarzenegger did Junior after doing the first two Terminator movies, or at least after the first one. Yeah. So, like, it seems like Dave Bautista loves little glasses because he also wore little glasses at Knock at the Cabin.
Oh yeah, because he's like, I'm a little reader guy, like that's his. But he's like trying to, you know. I see what he's trying to do there. He's like, how do I dress down who I am? And that's the first step to becoming somebody different. Like, he's like, I want to be a different guy. And I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see where he takes that sort of transformative process.
Have you seen him recently? He's lost like 150 pounds. Which is more versatile. So he can play dudes that aren't hyper jacked.
Like, you know, he's serious about it. He's committed.
Andy, what year did Princess Mononoke came out?
Robbie, I'm thrilled that you asked because it is the year of our Megazord, 1997.
Whoa, 1997.
Yeah, Robbie.
Tell us what were the top movies of 1997, Andy?
Well,
if you even can do that.
Oh, Robbie, challenge accepted.
All right.
So I've searched long and far. Have not found Princess Mononoke on a top 200 list. But here it says that it made $11 million outside of Japan.
Its total box office was $194 million.
Yes. But that's like as of 2020. And I think that's including like sales of DVDs.
And its budget was 2.35 billion yen, which is $23.5 million.
Yes.
Not bad.
Hooray. So I'm just going to do top 5.
The top 5 movies of 1997.
Yeah. Air Force One made $315 million.
Air Force Gun. It's like, hey, check out this gun I have.
Very good, Robbie. That's where Harrison Ford says, get off my plane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the president, and there's terrorists on his plane, and he fights them.
So it's a prequel to the new Captain America movie where Harrison Ford's the president.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Amazing. I wonder if he's Red Hulk in Air Force One.
He is not.
Not yet, but that's like a prequel. That's what he was getting up to beforehand.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he's Red Hulk now, because I can't let that happen again. You know?
I love the idea that all the movies where someone plays the president and they're the same continuity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a link up for them.
There you go.
Yeah. Just like this movie, Princess Mononoke, prequel to Love Actually, where Billy Bob Thornton's the president.
That's true. That's true.
Jigo becomes president of the United States. Yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Which, you know, is sort of on track for his character.
It's not the
Well, he wasn't. Well, he you know, he
Sure.
wasn't born in the U.S., but you know,
That's true.
he would get. If anyone would get around that, it would be him. You know, once you try to kill a god, circumventing the Constitution's light work.
Yeah. Number 4 is Tomorrow Never Dies with $339 million.
Yeah, well, tomorrow wishes it was never born.
All right.
Andy, I didn't look any of these up. These are just.
It's 100% fine, Robbie. It's
Yeah.
100%.
Is it?
Yes, I won't judge you.
Well, you know what? People do.
Okay.
I get calls from my father after each airing of the podcast, and he goes,
Like, that one didn't hit.
He goes, please stop asking that sex offender or prison question. That's true. He's actually told me he hates that I ask that.
Okay, well. Number 3 is previous episode Men in Black with $587 million.
Men in slacks. Like, check out these new slacks I got, right?
Nice.
That was actually an alternative title. They did try that.
Yeah.
They're just wearing khakis. They're not in suits. They're just in khakis and polos.
Well, you know, no, it's the same suits. It's just they are black slacks underneath. It was a looser, more chill FBI. They were like, you know,
Yeah.
business uptight, and you know, but slightly more casual business on the bottom.
We've adopted a more business casual atmosphere here.
Yeah. Loafer Fridays, little different vibe.
Number 2 is also previous episode, The Lost World Jurassic Park with $618 million.
Wow.
That's early days.
Can I guess what number 1 was? Even though I have no idea. I don't know why I just asked if I could guess. I have no idea.
You go ahead and guess. I'll give you a hint, though. It's a previous episode.
Oh, then I have no idea because I was going to say Good Will Hunting.
No. No, it is not. Number 1 is Titanic with $2.2 billion.
Ooh.
Previous episode, check it out.
Yeah, it makes sense that would make more money than Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Wow, big year for very long movies.
Yeah.
Movies weren't this long back then. This was like a 2-hour. This movie was over 2 hours. That was a novelty back then.
Yeah,
They were, especially for an animated movie, they were trying to get you out of there in an hour and a half flat.
Yeah, well, this is 2 hours 15, and there was concerns that this was going to be about 3 hours long because San doesn't get introduced until about 20 minutes into the movie.
It should have been 3 hours long. That would have been amazing. They should. Directors cut these movies, man. Give me the 3-hour cut.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is no director's cut.
Yeah, no, they just gave.
Yeah, Miyazaki, he seems to know exactly what he wants.
This is his director. He wouldn't hand in a product that wasn't the director's cut.
Right.
Right.
Because even when this got distributed through Disney, they tried to cut a lot of stuff out of it because they thought it was. Yeah, they thought it was too violent, and he was like, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how the meeting actually went. It was him and Michael Eisner, and he goes, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
Well, apparently they had, when they distributed another one of their Studio Ghibli movies, they did edit it and they like cut it down, and he hated that. He was like, "What the fuck are you doing to my movie?"
I don't blame him.
Yeah, me neither.
Yep.
We ready to jump into this?
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, ready to go.
Let's do it. We open up with a voiceover about a long time ago, in the time of gods and demons, is when we get the title card. We see this giant demon come powering through the wall. Right away, all of this looks so cool.
Yeah, and that's like hand animated.
Great classic 90s animation, yeah.
And all those tendrils are like moving. It's crazy.
That's the thing. The detail within the tendrils here, and when we see it later on, and how they're almost like these, you know, you see it sometimes with animals, these like creatures who like burrow into other animals' skin.
Yeah, parasites.
Yeah.
They've really nailed that look of it. And especially when all these little things like kind of fall off and just revealing the boar underneath.
Yeah.
And the boar's eyes and the psychoticness is right away you could tell that this boar has nothing behind the eyes anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Have either of you played The Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild and its sequel, Tears of the Kingdom?
I played the original, have not yet played the sequel.
Same.
The sequel, especially the beginning, is set up almost exactly like this movie.
Yeah. There's classic like JRPG style call to action setup. Like
Yes.
even in a tiny little village, something goes awry, you're cast out of your village, you gotta travel a long distance to try and figure out some stranger's problems far away. And through the main character, you sort of get to know and establish all the different elements and factions and whatnot. Yeah.
But even with like his right arm gets like touched by the demon goop.
Yeah.
That's like exactly what happens in the.
That was the working title of Touched by an Angel, Touched by the Demon Goop.
Yep. Touched by the demon goop.
Yeah.
Well, that was their spin-off.
Yeah.
Just the way they're drawing the action, like the veracity at which this thing is moving. It's like fucking.
Yeah.
Devin comes on and Andy's got to be all impressive by using words like veracity.
Yeah, he made me step my game up. Yeah. I'm here with the fucking dictionary, dude.
Andy's flipping through a thesaurus. All right, got to think of another word for fast.
Robbie, how am I going to flip through a dinosaur?
Very good.
Yeah, no, Studio Ghibli's great at representing volume too. Like you were saying, Rob, with the little creatures that are like burrowing. It's great at they seem very plump and very, obviously this is a 2D thing that's used to represent 3D space, but they're also great with the food in Studio Ghibli movies as well. And I think it's the similar concept, is that they're great at establishing volume in 2D space. Like things feel very, very plump, they've got a thick juiciness to them.
I'm getting all hot and bothered over here. But
I love
also,
a thick, juicy tendril.
Dog, you see those radishes, man? Whenever they're chopping up radishes or whatnot, those are some thick ass radishes.
Yeah,
but
the food always looks good. You're right.
Yeah, and the painted backgrounds are beauteous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
truly throughout the whole movie. And we have covered one other Studio Ghibli film, Spirited Away. Previous episode, check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Another great movie.
Yeah, incredible.
I think the backgrounds, like you were just talking about, I think that's one of those things that if you're an American audience and you're watching these movies for the first time, like a movie like Princess Mononoke, when it first starts, could be almost impenetrable to an American audience who's used to your typical American animated films, Disney style, Looney Tunes films.
Yeah.
But then you have these backgrounds and you get drawn into how beautiful everything looks, that even if the story's kind of confusing to you, it's very pleasant to look at. The soundtracks always work really nice.
Yeah, always a lot of well-timed action, and even when the action isn't going on in the backgrounds of scenes, like, not to skip ahead, but even when they're just talking with the ex-prostitutes in the foundry, just seeing them in the background pushing the bellows up and down and moving the coals and stuff, like, you're right that there's always a feast for the eyes going on.
Yes, and that, I think, helps it a lot get over that hump for American audiences.
For sure. Yeah.
I did, after watching this, I went on Rotten Tomatoes just to see, what other people had to say about it. And I saw, it's got, a 96%. And I'm like, all right, let me find these Rotten reviews. Let me just see what they're saying. And, a lot of it, no joke, was what the hell's going on in this movie?
Yeah.
And one of them was like, people might try and tell you that this is more than just a cartoon, but it's not. It's just a cartoon. And I was like, I gotta find this guy's address because I'm gonna punch him in the mouth. What are you fucking talking about, dude?
You know what? I could definitely see if you're looking for a very simple story, or a very simple morals in a story, good conquers bad and things of that nature, then I could see you walking out of this movie going, nothing even happened, even though it's making a very complicated point about the inevitability of certain things.
I wouldn't even say that it's like hard to read. Like, this movie's pretty blunt.
Yeah. At least on its surface level themes of like environmentalism, about the struggle of nature versus civilization, stuff like that. You're right. Is at least very easily accessible. It's not difficult to comprehend.
Right, and but there is another layer that you like.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll get into it
now. Andy, I need to ask: out of all these rotten reviews, how many of them were complaining that it's woke because a woman runs the village?
None, because this came out in 97, so most of these reviews are pretty old.
Okay.
Before the whole
this is pre.
The
environment.
Yeah,
but
you
could
tell,
know
what? It's
you could tell
they
that
would not
later on. They're saying that about other movies,
Yeah. Or we're not if as cliche as it is to say, if people were released the same movie today, people would have weird objections about shit they did not have previously.
Oh yeah. The demon boar knocks down the watchtower heading towards the village. Ashitaka, our hero, is riding Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He's doing a lot of reasoning with the demon because it's a lot of like, stop, please, stop. It's like, he is a raging, mindless demon. You're not going to reason with him here, dude.
But you know what? I think that's an important element of what they're trying to display about the culture that he comes from.
Right.
And its connection to nature, that he understands that something is amiss here, that they don't really necessarily have demons per se. So like, this is a spirit of the forest that something corrupting has happened to. Like, it's suffering, not necessarily that it's suffering from something, but, something has gone awry to make this normally benevolent thing turn antagonistic towards them.
Well, also, I think it sets up, his role going forward, because he is pretty much like the mediator.
Yeah.
And he's trying to find the connect with this thing, maybe reason with it, but to no avail. And then it gives him the gooey arm. Yeah.
And it's sort of like a microcosm of the whole movie in a way when you think about it, because this element of nature harmed by man is lashing out at civilization, not the one that harmed it, but one nonetheless. Right. And he has to step in between them in order to try and figure out some sort of mediation. Now, in the beginning, he's got to kill it. And I think he's spending the rest of the movie trying to not atone for that, but try to find an alternative path towards, a similar solution.
Right. And that also speaks to the larger thing in this movie. Like, sometimes you do have to kill something.
Yeah. And sometimes people are going to kill each other. Like, that's definitely an element of where the movie doesn't take a side per se. Like, that's something I always find interesting about it, is that the humans aren't necessarily bad and nature isn't necessarily bad, but their conflict is sort of depicted as an inevitability.
Yes.
And it's more about hashing out that inevitability than trying to figure out which one is evil and which one is good.
Right. Because that's not how life works,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's making that sort of complicated point that I could see, certain critics walking out of that movie being like, I don't get it.
Who's the good guy?
Were the animals the good guys, or were the people the good guys? Right. And it's like, well, now it's making a grander point about the inevitable struggle against opposing forces.
Right. And I even found myself doing that towards the end, and we'll get there when just remind me. Just be like, hey, you had something to say?
For sure.
Ashitaka gets poisoned, and they have the wise woman from the village comes down. She tells all the villagers to get away, and they pour some like liquid on his arm. It just looks like water or something.
That's piss.
Oh my god! It's a jellyfish sting.
Yeah, he was like, she's like, put this on your arm. They're like, who are you again? Just some random lady. Like, pour my piss on your arm.
The wise woman prays to the dying demon, and he has absolutely nothing nice to say, because he's like, soon you will all feel my hate, suffer like I suffer. And then all his like skin melts off and the skeletal remains look incredible. Mwah. Chef's kiss.
And, like, even as it's melting, I was like, damn, that looks gross, which is awesome.
This was a very traumatizing movie for a lot of young people that I know.
I would imagine.
I know a lot of people who saw this movie very young, and between this and some other scenes that we're going to come up to very shortly, like the one with the samurai battle where a couple of things go down, I know a couple of people personally who were deeply scarred by the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, this like, especially coming off of Spirited Away. Spirited Away is like not violent. Maybe like a little bit with the dragon, but like this is fucking.
You know what? Spirited Away is after this by a couple of years, and the early movies are a lot more violent than the later movies. I think the later movies he tries to make a more nuanced point, or is at least less vengeful about it. I think earlier movies, this one, Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind, Lupita Castle in the Sky, Porco Rosso, a lot of those movies, you could tell he's very angry about things that are going on, and he feels that it's very urgent, and so he's depicting it with violence to sort of depict the urgency of what he thinks these problems are. I think as he got older, he probably just mellowed out a bit, understood that
tends to happen.
These sort of things have been going on forever, and they're a bit more philosophical. You know, his later movies are about, like, he's got a movie about a guy who made the fighter planes for World War II, and about how he always wanted to make planes, and he ended up making them for war because that was the option that he had, but in the end he regrets all the people that he sent off to war. Like, he makes more of those more like, you know, existential sort of movies than the more direct violent ones of his earlier career.
So what you're saying is Oppenheimer ripped him off.
Yeah. It is, you know what, it is sort of very close to an Oppenheimer for the Japanese. It sort of is, because it's a movie about him and his wife is sick and his struggles with his life and how he really just wanted to make planes, and this was the opportunity that he got, and he really put all of his gusto and intelligence and strength into, you know, making machines of war that would go on to kill a whole bunch of people. So it is a very similar, it definitely, you know, treats him with the same like empathetic gloves that Oppenheimer treats Oppenheimer, where he's like, or in the end it's, you know, he's like, man, I made a machine that killed a lot of people and that makes me sad, and you're supposed to empathize with him over that. And it's a very equivalent thing.
And in that movie, did someone walk up to him at the end and go, "Get over it, pussy"? That's exactly what happens in Oppenheimer.
It is.
The president of the United States walks up to him and goes, "Shut the fuck up, you pussy, get over it."
You know, the messed up part is that this is sort of the Oppenheimer's credit. They're saying that to him throughout the entire movie in the Miyazaki one. And they don't even have the self-defense angle. They're like, dude, we're about to mess these people up, dog. They don't. They come from a different angle. They're like, hey, listen, man, we want to be top dog, and that requires fucking some people up. So get on these warplanes, bud. And he's like, what if I don't want to kill people? And they're like, well, I don't want to kill people. Kill people. Like,
haven't you ever heard that hurt people hurt people?
Yeah. Shut
up and get in the plane.
Yeah, they didn't care for the Japanese. Don't care for the absolute jump in that movie. They're like, get on it. Oh, also, there's like a German guy who's like a Nazi, but he's like trying to stop the Nazis. So it is, now that I think about it, that was called The Wind Rises. It is sort of like an Oppenheimer for the Japanese, because there's a German guy in there and he's like supposed to be cool, and he's like, hey man, personally, I think this war and stuff is messed up. Am I a Nazi? Yes. But personally, I don't agree. Not all of us agree with it. For me, I think it's sort of messed up what they're doing.
Yeah, I joined the party for the health benefits.
Yeah.
I'm fiscally a Nazi, socially liberal.
Yeah, he's like, personally, man, I think it's, you know, it's not a little overboard, but you know.
The wise woman tells Prince Ashitaka that he must go and find if he can find the spirit of the forest, to find if he can get rid of himself of the curse. And this is apparently devastating to the elders because their tribe's numbers have been dwindling. This is something that I didn't really understand, because Ashitaka like cuts his hair and his bun off, whatever, and for whatever reason they're like, and now he's dead to us forever.
Well, basically, they're kicking him out. They're like, you gotta go. They're saying that this corruption is going to corrupt you, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So you can't be here. So you got to leave and never come back. But also, here's an important caveat to understand for like setting up who he is. So Japan had a bunch of different ethnic groups on it. Like it has the people that we consider to be Japanese, but then some other ethnic groups that they sort of pushed off to the fringes of Japan as they expanded. So the group that he's part of, so this group that he's part of they are a Japanese ethnic group, but they're not like what we would traditionally consider Japanese. That have sort of been pushed out to the far edges of the Japanese archipelago, and are sort of on their last days. Like that village is essentially the last of them. What was once a whole ethnic group that lived in Japan has been persecuted and pushed by a different ethnic group that lived in Japan to the fringes of it. And that's the last of that people, and he's their last prince. So they're saying this corruption has destroyed you, and therefore you have to leave. But also, as our last prince, we too are destroyed, which is why they're upset about it.
Okay, see, because I was thinking of it from a different angle, because I know this is like the Iron Town is an allegory for like leprosy, and it's like a leper colony.
Yeah.
So I thought this was an extension of that. Like, oh, you've got that bum arm, piss off.
You know what? I think that is an element. That is an element, I think. That's something that they're working with, like thematically, is that there's the similarities between the leprosy and his illness and, injured people having to take a new take on life and sort of adapt to their surroundings.
I think that's definitely
the case. Yeah, no, neither did I. That's definitely a very astute connection. But there's definitely there's a big part of it about like he has to leave, because also if he comes back, they might track him back to where he is. So it's part of like we're a secret society. So you have to go, and once you leave, you can't come. I don't think anyone who leaves can come back. I don't think that's just him. I think once you leave, you can't come back because they're a society they're trying to keep secret. But he has to leave because of the curse. So
they're Amish.
Them's the breaks. Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, the Japanese. He left for Rumspringa. Well, because what got to me is like they send him off, and they're like, no one's allowed to say goodbye to you. No words. And like, but then his sister's just like, hey, brother. I'm gonna miss you. Yeah, here's your dagger.
She breaks tradition. Yeah, but also there's supposed to be like there's supposed to be a primordial people. There's also the element that is that the other people in the movie are the traditional ethnic group, the traditional Japanese ethnic group. So part of it is supposed to be like he's from these mystic, sort of like a Legend of Zelda type deal, where he's like from a mystic forest people type situation, where he himself is sort of supernatural. It's spoken upon in the movie several times. Jiko mentions he looks at his clothing, he sort of clocks him and goes, "Oh, you're from the so-and-so people. I thought they were extinct. I didn't think they existed anymore." Right. So they'd essentially been driven to extinction. So he himself is sort of this fantastical element of the story, because he's from not only is he like cursed and banished, but he's from an extinct people entirely. Like, the rest of the Japanese people don't believe that his kind walk the earth anymore, much like the gods themselves.
Okay. Look at this actual insight on this podcast.
Yeah, damn.
Ashitaka is traveling and he comes across some warriors destroying a village. This part is sick. He shoots a bow and arrow, and the one arrow rips a dude's arm off, both of them.
That is what I'm talking about. I personally know several people who saw that at like Adult Swim at like 8 years old, and traumatized the hell out of them.
Well, the next arrow decapitates a dude.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like how he does that, and then he looks at the arm. He's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. One of the other soldiers is like, "That's a demon."
Yeah.
That is. We gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Because arrows shouldn't do that.
No.
Yeah.
But also in the field before that, the samurais are chopping people's limbs off too.
Yes.
Yeah. They're not.
That ain't
he's
cool.
not pulling his punches in these early movies, man. People are getting clapped up.
Yeah, people get fucked up. Yeah.
Which makes it a little easier when these guys have their limbs ripped off, because it's like, you know what? Good.
Yeah. And it's also an excellent introduction to, he's supposed to be this sort of savage wild man, right? And this is his first introduction to civilization proper. And it's, people running around cutting villagers' heads off and stabbing old ladies in the back. So that's, he's sort of making a point about civilization there, where he's, like I said, he's supposed to be this savage that has been forced out of his tribe and now has to wander and embrace the quote unquote modern world, as far as they're concerned. And the first thing he's met with is, the forces. These are not even just random brigands. These are people in power. These are, soldiers working for a powerful local lord. This is, these are the
Pinkertons.
Yeah. But not only that, this isn't like an aberration on civilization. These aren't bandits or criminals. This is the law. Like the law, the structure of society itself is harming innocent people for the sake of greed, which is, sort of setting up the many points they're trying to make about the similarities and the differences about nature and civilization. Who's the savage, who's not. Not to say that it's saying, and it's not making the simple point that, like, actually, civilization are the true savages. Because the monsters, not monsters, but nature does plenty of brutish, savage, downright ignorant things in this movie that make them look equally as brutish. It's making more of a point about their similarities and the superiority of one over the other.
Well, it's also like, as soon as they see the main guy, I forgot his name.
Ashitaka.
As soon as they see him, they're like, "Oh, kill him!" And that's his first introduction to these people. He's seeing them kill, and they see him, and they're immediately like, "Kill him!" So it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah. And then their whole thing is, we have to, burn down and get rid of the forest because there's dangerous things in it. And he's like, "Hey, man, you're part of the dangerous things in this forest."
Yeah.
Jigo the monk, voiced by Billy Bob Thornton, makes a scene and walks with Ashitaka. They are being followed, and they eventually run away. I really like by the line from Jigo when they're talking around the fire, and he goes, "So you say you're under a curse? So what? So is the whole damn world."
Yeah. He has some of the best lines in the movie.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah. I took my song title from one of them.
Yeah.
He's a very insightful character, even though he's a bad guy.
And to be fair, it does line up with his character because he is on a journey to kill a god. So, in that prospect, the curse is what, it's not like he doesn't believe in these things. He's actively going out to engage with the spirit world itself. And, absolutely after a way bigger task than just some curse on a kid's arm. So he's like, "Hey, man, I got bigger fish to fry."
I'm trying to help an emperor live forever by cutting off a god's head.
Yeah.
So, in a way, he's cursed, with that task.
Yeah.
Also,
it's
William Robert Thornton, Robbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, take him seriously.
That's all right.
Take him.
I will.
He's
My bad,
legit.
guys. Ashitaka asks Jigo about the ball of iron that was found inside the boar that they believe made him a demon. Jigo doesn't know anything about him and tells him about the Great Spirit Forest. That night, some dudes are carrying rice when two wolves come running up, one rode by what I thought was a child at first. I didn't realize this was the star, San. In the animation, it looked like a child riding a puppy.
I mean, she is sort of a child.
I know.
Oh, I get what you mean. Oh, I think
yeah.
you mean size-wise.
Yes, size-wise at first.
Yeah, you don't realize how huge these wolves are.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. So my note is like, she's being ridden by a child until I realize, oh, that's a huge wolf with two tails, it looked like.
Yeah,
So was I wrong? Did Mama Wolf have two tails?
Yes, yeah.
I believe
Okay.
so, yeah.
Well, she's like a forest. She's one of the forest gods.
Right.
Yeah.
The men open fire and scare them off, and the Mama Wolf attacks and gets thrown off the cliff, but she's a god, so she'll be fine. We then see
she gets shot, and that's important.
Yeah, she does. She does catch a
That's true.
She does catch a ball right in the chest.
She just walks it off.
As the British, which I'm sure that's contemporary to the British. Hey man, he caught a ball, bro. You hear about your boy William at Waterloo? What happened? He caught a ball, man, right in the chest.
Ashitaka starts pulling bodies out of the river. Must be Gowanus. He sees a woman sucking bullets out of Mama Wolf's injuries. That's what she's doing, right? That's what Sana's doing. She's just sucking. Okay.
Yeah.
That imagery is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's trying to get the bullet out and all the
But all like when he calls to her, she turns around, she's just like covered in blood.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Guys, let me tell you something. With all that blood all around her mouth, I was ready to make a lesbian joke, but this movie was so wholesome, I just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, it's just too beautiful. Yeah.
I was gonna, and I was like, you know what?
He said, you know what? I've moved.
Let's just store that in the back, and we're not going to make it. Well, I'll make a reference that I was going to do it, but I used better judgment.
Let him know I'm walking away on this.
Yeah. So I thought that her name was going to be Princess Mononoke. But then it turns out that just translates into like angry princess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I believe it's like Princess of the Angry Spirits.
Yeah, something like that. So, but more like Princess Stereonoke. All right, keep going.
Very good, Andy.
Thank you.
A tree spirit scares the shit out of one of the dudes that Ashitaka pulled from the river. And apparently he's scared because he thinks it's going to lead a giant evil deer to them. These things look really cool, these little tree spirits.
Yeah, little forest sprites, yeah.
And I really
like the Korok seeds in...
Yes, that's what I said too. They remember
Yeah.
But I also like that they have these little butts when they run away.
Yes.
I don't know why. I was just laughing at their little butts.
So I'm assuming that these creatures are part of like Japanese folklore.
Yeah, I was going to say they are the same things from Legend of Zelda. Different takes on the same concepts.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ashitaka comes to a quiet area near some water. He goes to get some water and sees a lot of tracks. They were made recently. He sees some deer and one of them has about 1 million antlers. This triggers his injury to start writhing, so he just dips his arm in the water, seemingly drowning. Like, this is something I didn't get. Like, is he just drowning it? Is he trying to suppress it by stuffing his arm in the water? That I didn't quite understand what was going on.
So, I think he's trying to suppress it.
Yeah, I'm also thinking that the place they're at, which, comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Like, they end up there a lot. I think that's a sacred place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is. No, it definitely is.
Where they're at that pool? Yeah. That's sort of like some sort of ancient refreshing spring or something like that.
Yeah, so I think that...
lithium in it.
Yeah. I think that helps.
They reach a part where nothing seems to hurt at one point. Like, hey, you're lighter now. And one guy's like, my arm's not broken. And he's like, oh, no, it is. I really like that.
Yeah.
They reach the village, and they're seemingly back to where they wanted to go. And it's kind of shocking. They're in an iron town, and then they're all amazed that Kuroku, the guy who one of the soldiers, has returned alive. This dude's wife deserves to get divorced. She's like ripping him a new asshole for being hurt.
Nah. She's like 10 times higher than him. When it's a 10-to-1 ratio, you're allowed to be a dick.
No, I'm sorry. You don't get to walk. If your husband's hurt from war, you don't get to walk up to the guy who just saved him and be like, I bet you're really handsome under that mask. And then she goes, you're not handsome. You're gorgeous.
So all right. Well, here's the thing, man. We don't know how many times he's been the only one to not come back, because if the caravan comes out and every single time, sometimes people get injured, sometimes people don't. If you're part of the injured every single time, I'm gonna start to ask, what are you doing, dog? Because nobody else is injured every time. So everyone's been injured once or twice. You're the only one coming back injured every time. So obviously you're doing something on a caravan.
I think it's fitting that the voice actress for her is Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh, yes, it is.
Also, that is also hysterical. I did not realize that until today when I looked up who the cast was, and I was like, "Wow, that's an incredible casting decision." That person said, "We need someone to play an overbearing, very angry wife," and they were like, "Hey, man,
who also who's openly cheating?" Yeah.
But
that too, who's like overly, who is gushing over a significantly younger man.
Yeah.
But
God.
Excellent casting.
Foreshadowing.
If you were coming back from something, and everyone in the village assumed you were dead, and everyone is so excited to see you alive, and then your wife walks up to you, and instead of looking at you, was like, hey, that guy who saved you is gorgeous. You're going to be sitting in the chair tonight, husband. You're in the corner. You're watching, baby.
Hey man, and again, we don't know their dynamic, man. He might be, you know, that might be his bag. He's in there.
But he's like, but I broke my cranking arm.
Use lefty, you'll last longer. And then we get all the ladies like gawking at Ashitaka. And this is a weird thing to me in this movie. Like, I understand wanting to make the town run by women and giving the women the power in Irontown. That's cool. Why are they always in bathrobes?
I think because they're ex prostitutes, so I think they're just comfortable chilling.
But like, even when they're working, they're like doing manual labor and they're wearing bathrobes.
That just might be their, you know.
I don't know.
Like, just because we left the prostitution gang doesn't mean we have to leave the being comfortable gang. We can still.
Imagine
we could be
working over an open flame in a robe.
Yeah, no.
I also think that they just had robes. I think robes are just. Or they,
Yeah,
I don't think they had button ups. I think there was just all clothing was just different types of robes back then.
It's also great watching these women like walk up to him wearing nothing but a robe, hitting on him and covering themselves up at the same time. It's like, you know, if you wore an actual shirt, you wouldn't have to do that.
Henry P. Shirtington would not be born for another 500 years. There's no.
Because like there are other women in this, like Iboshi, it doesn't have to cover herself up constantly because you know what she's done? She's tied her robe clothes. Oh, what a novel concept.
Man, listen.
I just don't get it. I don't get why everything was done in robes.
This is parlance of the trade, man.
No, I guess. The boar god, Nago, I think his name was mad at the town for clearing forests to make iron. Lady Iboshi led a charge of soldiers against the boar god. Talk about this whole thing irritates his arm injury. And we find out that Iboshi had put the curse on the boar god.
Also, she shot him, and I love that, like, that being a euphemism for a curse.
Yes.
Yeah. Because she did just shoot him.
Yeah.
And he had the bullet in him, and it hurt a whole bunch and turned him all evil and crazy. But I like being like, yeah, man, I put a curse on that dude, as in you fucking shot him. Dude, I saw Charles was walking funny. What happened? Oh yeah, I put a curse on his leg.
Yeah.
He fucking shot him.
Oh, Matt, I was reading the news. There was another school cursing.
Yeah.
Oh, sad. Ashitaka's. Go ahead.
No, I was trying to come up with something for going postal, and it didn't come to me in time. Something with the magic of the post office. So it was something there.
Ashitaka meets with Lady Iboshi. She agrees to show him everything. He sees the women working. He then follows her through her garden to a house where a bunch of lepers are just living there, and they're making like guns and shit to take on these forest monsters. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I wasn't expecting them to just be crafting guns. I don't know why.
And not only that, they're doing it to also fight the samurai as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a very another very American undercurrent in this movie, because she gives a very like God made man, Smith and Wesson made them equal style speech.
Yeah.
No, she literally does, where she was like, yeah, I have these lepers and prostitutes here, and they're obviously too weak to fight against fully grown men armed with, you know, weapons and armor. So I crafted this very nifty device that I can pop a cap in their asses with.
Yeah.
And I made a very, very cool, nifty little tool. And using it, I could straight blow a motherfucker's dome off. And,
I think that's verbatim what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, anyone can do it. Like, she's like, right now they're a bit heavy, but eventually I'm get them light enough where any man, woman, and child can straight up obliterate anybody else.
Yeah.
And we'll call it America.
Yeah, and Doug, honestly, it's a very like God made man, Smith and Wesson made them equal ass speech.
Right. So like this is where it's because at first you see her and you're like, okay, well, she's part of the army that was shooting at the wolves, so they're probably evil. But then she like states her case.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I've taken downtrodden people and I've given them purpose. And it's like, okay, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But like, it's all gray area, and that's why it's good. It's nuanced and good. Yeah, my first impressions were evil, and then, she, in a good way, explained why, and I was like, oh shit.
And my first impression was Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Said stacking them guns up.
Oh no, because Andy said my first impression was, and
oh, I thought you were making an Iran-Contra reference.
No, it wasn't that deep. I was literally just talking, going, well, Nancy. There was no intelligence there.
He's getting iron from the forest to get guns for the lepers, man, under the table. Even after Congress said no, but she found a way.
Nope, just silly voice. Just a silly voice I wanted to do. That night, Lady Eboshi is trying to kill forest spirits. She also reveals that San wants to kill Eboshi and tells a story about Princess Mononoke. They only use the term Mononoke like once in this movie, right? Like a couple times.
Yeah, because it's more of her honorary. It's more of an honorary title than
Because I was with Andy where I was calling her Mononoke in my notes. and then eventually I was like, wait a second, her name is just San, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ashitaka helps out all the ladies working. He's like, hey, let me help. And then he starts stepping on the thing they're on, and these women are like flying, and they are having a great time.
Yeah. No, they're hanging out, man. They're chilling.
They're also just like, you can't keep that pace up forever, brother. Just let you know.
And let me tell you something.
They don't get new dudes in there very often, so, they gotta...
Yeah.
They are slipping on that floor when they look at him.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. That's what, but they don't get that many new faces in, so they got to take advantage if they can. I get that.
How old is this dude, Ashitaka?
Old enough.
Andy, be careful saying that.
He's definitely about 15, 16, but
Oh shit, never mind.
This is the age of consent of
well, that's
pre-medieval Japan, so I think that's about 9 years old. So I think he's
Japan's always had kind of a weird
he's over
thing
that line
with ages and sexuality.
Well, I think anywhere in the world in the period that this is taking place in.
Yeah. But I'm saying generally Japan has this weird kind of thing going throughout like a lot of their media.
Yeah, Andy, why don't you expand upon that? Devin, let's let him dig his whole.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of like schoolgirl shit and like
like what? What are you talking about? Is this stuff you've seen, Andy?
Robbie, let's move on. What happens next in the movie? What happens next in the movie, Robbie? Is it hot in here? It's hot in here, right?
San rides her wolf into the village, and the wolf runs into something and launches her up onto the wall. That was cool. How like the mama wolf or whatever just like slams against the wall and San goes flying up. Yeah. Fucking sick.
Straight out of a video game. Straight out of like go over and press Y and your mount will eject you over the wall. Like,
that wolf has CTE though, from the way it just hit the wall. Like it's hurt.
Yes. Yeah.
Mononoke makes her way up to the roof as she's looking for Lady Eboshi. Eboshi calls her out with two ladies who are totally strapped up. Like, they're like, try it.
Yeah.
Ashitaka tries to warn San that it is a trap. She runs down. They fire cannons at her. The ladies shoot San in the face, but it only breaks her mask. These guns suck.
Yeah, well, it's also a very powerful mask, man. It was
that's a good point.
It was actually like a 50-pound lead mask. And every day people go, why are you wearing a 50-pound lead mask? What is that even supposed to do?
You'll see.
You'll see one day.
Also, her neck is jacked.
Just all the time walking around like this.
Her neck's the size of Tyson's. She's walking around like...
People are like, you're clearly in incredible pain. Why are you still wearing that mask?
Because look at my traps, bro.
And it looks fucking cool. But I assume the bullet like grazed the mask.
I think it was more of a ricochet type of situation. Yeah.
Oh, so these are like stormtroopers with their shots.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, these are
anyway,
also, Yeah, they're not It's interesting you use cannons because they are guns per se, but at the stage of guns where they're closer to cannons, where it's basically you
light a fuse
it's a tube and they put a rock in it and they big boomy explodey one end and it fires out the other end, but not with much accuracy or technology or anything.
And guys, they're being fired by women, so
Robbie.
Listen, man.
I'll be honest.
I'm the only one.
I don't think I'd be a good shot, so I have no idea.
If anything, they were lugging them things around. They looked like they're about 50, 60 pounds.
Oh yeah, no, these women will fuck us up.
Those one-shot hand cannons.
Oh jeez. Ashitaka's arm gets mad and he bends a sword. That's fucking sick.
Yeah. Wasn't playing around anymore.
San and Eboshi are fighting as the whole village is circling. They're all taking their phones out and like filming. Ashitaka knocks out Eboshi and San, and then he leaves with San, and a lady shoots Ashitaka. The bullet goes right through him, and he no-sells it. He just keeps going.
Yeah. Took it right to the chest. Like a real G. I mean, then he dies, sort of, but...
he walked farther than I would.
Yeah, I would have went down right there. But I like how he goes to push the door, and they're like, dude, you ain't going anywhere. It takes like 10 people to open that door. And he's like, shut up.
Yeah. And with the hole in him, too. He's like, dude, you're bleeding profusely. You got a hole in your chest the size of my fist, and that door takes 10 men. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, he starts pushing, and then they go, the sign says pull. He forces the huge gate open by himself. He leaves with San and the wolves. While they're riding back, he wakes up and, he falls off as San wakes up. And as he's laying there unconscious, one of the wolves just grabs him by the head. I was like, he's dead.
He starts biting.
He's dead.
Yeah.
San stops him and holds a knife to the guy's throat. And that knife is against his Adam's apple. And he does the same thing I would do. He comes. He goes, you're beautiful.
Well, it's also because he's dying. I believe I've heard when you come and you die.
Yeah, of course.
It's sort of all your, you shit and you calm, all your fluids are sort of...
Yeah.
Last ride for all your holes.
I'll be honest, I might have a boner if a woman was on top of me holding a knife to my throat. I might get an erection out of nervousness. Anyone else?
A nervous erection.
Anytime I got a curse, I'm boned up 24/7.
Hell yeah. Curse with hog.
Yeah.
But as we know, curse means you got shot. So anytime I get shot, I am ripped up.
100%. Yeah. They call it Biggie-titis. It's a very interesting disease.
We learn that the wolves can speak to San, and then the ape spirits show up, and they're like, give us the human so we can eat him. It's like, okay. Yeah. They're all upset because they plant trees and the humans destroy them. Fair point. That's a fair thing to get annoyed about.
I did like how when the apes said that, they're like, we'll eat them. And she's like, you guys don't even do that. And they're like, but we want to. So let us do it.
We're open to trying new things.
Yeah, he said, listen, this is a learning experience for all of us.
And then she mentioned that, if you do that, then you'll become something worse or something like that. And I turned to my wife and I said, that's Chekhov's cannibalism. And it never comes back, though. So I was wrong.
That's great.
Oh, they're setting up a late stage cannibalism transformation here.
That's what I thought, but nothing like that happens. Matter of fact, the apes kind of just fuck off.
Yeah, no, I think she making general, but it's just gross. That was a transformation. Yeah. He transformed into a person that does gross things.
Yeah. You transform into a guy with a foot fetish.
Yeah, that's not cool.
A human who's just gross shit.
You'll become something worse. A person we're not invited to parties anymore.
Yeah.
You eat people, dog. That's weird. You're no longer coming to Thanksgiving. That's what you become.
You'll become something worse. A furry.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
In the magic forest, all the tree spirits watch as San brings Ashitaka across the water onto an island, and apparently the elk is smart for not going onto the island. Because San's like, you're wise, you're not stepping foot on here. Did they ever explain why the elk was smart for not going on there?
No, it just knows that there's a grander mysticism there.
Okay.
That it has no place messing around in. More of a know your place type situation.
All the tree spirits watch some giant man-deer spirit walk through the forest. The monk Jigo from before is dressed like a bear, and he looks at the creature, a Nightwalker. And the Nightwalker apparently transformed back into the magical deer spirit, but this Nightwalker and the magical deer spirit look terrifying.
Yeah.
The face on this thing is horrifying.
Yeah,
I hated it.
Yeah. I mean, are you not supposed to look at a god, right? Isn't that a thing?
You guys are looking at me right now.
Well,
Wow.
it's distracted through rays and also
It's fair.
delusion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I've also taken the form of a goose.
You are an absolute fucking goose, dude.
The next day, Jigo and another dude see a boar god, Okoto, scared by Keith David. This scares the shit out of him. This looked awesome.
yeah.
Okoto looked great. The forest spirit heals Ashitaka, but the mark on his arm is still there and growing. And then apparently we learn that the elk Yakul apparently told San everything, so he could talk too.
Or she could talk to him. I mean, she does talk to the animals.
Yeah, I know. I would have liked to hear Yakul speak. I want to hear his voice.
You're upset.
Yeah, he was cool.
You didn't get that casting.
Yeah, I want to hear the elk talk.
1997. You wanted to get Danny DeVito as fucking Gilbert
Fresh out of
Gottfried.
Hercules doing the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me tell you how it works, San. A group of boars are on their way to kill all the humans. They talk to the wolves and San, and all the boar are upset because the great spirit saved Ashitaka. They're like, so you couldn't help our guy?
Fair play, dog. To be
No,
fair.
yeah, absolutely.
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 fair.
You wouldn't help Nagu, but you helped this fucking
Yeah,
human?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Ashitaka reveals that he had killed the boar, but because he had become a demon, and shows them his injury, and then that's an Okoto who is blind, like starts like sniffing him and stuff. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah, he's telling the truth.
yeah. That's my guy.
The detail on Keith David's big boar guy.
Okoto?
Yeah, impeccable. Just great, like the crusties in the eye, all that stuff.
Yeah. Makes you a
Yeah,
little hungry.
they never
detail.
they never flinch for that at all.
Yeah.
Does that you like big wormy pork?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a
it does.
very very wormy pork.
Yeah.
I go to the butcher, I go, I'm making some pulled pork. You got any wormy pork?
Yeah, we get some of those worms.
Okoto then tells Ashitaka that he's got to leave, and the next time he sees him, he's going to have to kill him. Which is like, all right.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He gave him more warning.
Yeah.
That's a real respect real situation. He said,
Yeah.
Normally I fuck people like you up on sight, but I'll give you one opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? You did a good thing, so I'll let you go this time.
Yeah. And then he gets like kind of escorted out,
Yes.
and that was cool. And then he's like,
Yeah, they do.
"Yo, give this to San," and he tosses the thing that his sister gave him.
Yeah.
That thing that she said, "Remember me" with, and he said, fuck that."
That was after the conversation he has with the mama wolf, because at first the mama wolf's like, jump off the cliff. You could do it. Do
Yeah.
it. Do a flip.
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's like, what? And then, then she's like, now you have to leave at sunrise or I'll kill you. And now he's got to be going, I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to kill me. But the animation of the mama wolf while she's talking to Ashitaka looks fucking awesome, especially when she's like laughing, because
Yes.
she almost like transforms. Like the face almost transforms into like a humanoid face as she laughs. I think that looked so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the animation in this movie is incredible.
Truly.
But we had also gotten the scene in there that Eboshi is confident in their chances against the wolves, and she's also planning that Jigo's men are going to all turn on the village, and she tells all the women, don't trust men.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, that whole that's the whole vibe on the settlement anyway, is that it's a real
Yeah, her plan is to replace all the men with bears. We got another great line from Jigo where he goes, we're after a god, not just a beast. Like, hey, remember, like, this isn't just an animal we're hunting.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
P's and Q's, define the laws of nature here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next morning, Ashitaka wakes up and everyone's gone except for his elk. He then follows one of the wolves through the forest. I do like when he wakes up, he does say like, "Oh yeah, that's right, I have to leave."
Yeah.
Like
he's checking out of an Airbnb. Like he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm supposed to be out of here."
Yeah. Oh shit, I didn't ask for late checkout. They're gonna kill me.
It said it right in the instructions. The giant wolf will bite my head off if I'm not out of here by 11 a.m. It was right in the email. I fucking should have seen that.
It's on the sign next to the Wi-Fi password.
Remember, a giant wolf will be biting your head off. You're not out of here by 10 a.m.
Ashitaka thanks the wolf and asks them to give San the crystal dagger his sister gave him. And then San and the wolves watch Eboshi and Jigo try to lure the boars out of the forest. And they just know it's a trap. They're like, "Oh, this is a trap. They're going to get fucked up."
Yeah.
San tells the mother wolf that she needs to be Okoto's eyes as they charge toward the humans. It's like, didn't you not listen? It's a trap.
Yeah.
San and the two younger wolves join the charging boars. My computer started at this point, for some reason, autocorrecting boars to boards, like with a D at the end of it, and it's throwing me off horribly. Ashitaka sees some explosions happening at Irontown. Yakul easily jumps over some dudes. This is so cool. When the elk just jumps over the dudes and just swims across the water.
Yeah.
We see some ladies fighting off Jigo's men. Lady Eboshi has led her men to kill the forest spirit. Ashitaka comes across some burnt forest. He smells burning animal flesh. And then some dudes immediately start shooting at his elk. Is it an elk or is it named Yakul? Is Yakul the creature?
It is an elk.
It is an elk. Okay. Ashitaka just starts fucking some dudes up. He beheads another dude with an arrow. Again, the violence in this movie is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, get beheaded, fucking scrub.
Yeah.
I also really like this thing that the elk refuses to stay behind because he's like, "Stay here and I gotta go." And he's like, "No, I'm coming with you."
Yeah,
No, it's some real. Yeah, you're not gonna leave a man behind. The elk is. People don't ride elks. That's not a thing that occurs. So that's another element of like the fantastical nature of who he is and the people that he's from. The fact that he's riding on an elk, and it's like if you saw someone riding a deer. That's not something people do. Right. You'd be like, "What? Where the fuck is this Joker from?"
Ashitaka and Yakul walk through a bunch of dead boar. They then see a bunch of dead dudes. Ashitaka tells the men about Irontown, and they make their way into the forest. Jigo gets warned that San and Okoto are making their way to the realm of the forest spirit, and that's when we get the ape spirits. They all come back to try to stop San. Okoto thinks his warriors have come back from the dead. This is awesome. When all of Jigo's men show up wearing like the boar skin and they have they're covered in like their blood, as we said before, because she's like, "Are you in blood?" And she's like, "Yeah, it covers the scent."
Yeah.
And it's like, it's gross, but it's fucking smart.
Yeah, it's effective.
Yeah.
And because Okoto's like, "They have come back to me."
Yeah, I like the lines that earlier, the Wolf Mother, the band Wolf.
Yeah.
The Wolf Mother, she says like
Moro, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, the more forest they cut down, the dumber the boars get. Like they get dumb, and I think that's like, because he's becoming more of an animal.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, no, it definitely is an element of the declining forest has left the spirits. They're also declining. He's returning to being just a regular boar. Yeah,
and that's kind of like if you take away an animal's, where their shelter, they're going to start lashing out.
Yeah.
So like, it's
well,
this movie's saying something.
She even says the angrier they get, the stupider they get.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, it reminds me of something my father always used to say to me: "Those who anger you control you."
Right.
And like, if you let yourself get angered by people, you're going to start making decisions you wouldn't normally make. You're not going to be thinking rationally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we see.
Yeah, and we see it on 100%. Both sides. We see it on like the people like multiple times. When San was going to fight Lady Eboshi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad with names, but like
yeah.
What's the main guy's name?
Ashitaka.
He says it's a trap, and she goes anyway. And then again, it happens again. It's a trap, but they go anyway.
Yeah. Stubbornness is definitely a big.
Right?
Yeah.
All this war is making you dumb.
And I think there's also not just a dichotomy between like civilization and nature, but man and like the spirit worlds. And I think the more the forest, not just like a bunch of trees, but like the primordial forest itself, is what gives the spirits their power. And by destroying it and turning it into farmland, they are able to eliminate the spirit world per se.
Right.
Akoto just won't listen to San because she keeps saying to him, those aren't your people back from the dead. They're just humans.
I also love that he thinks his people have come back from the dead, right? Instead of going to the town to attack the town, he's like, I'm gonna go to the forest spirit just to let him know that my boys are still out here. Like,
yeah. Well, that's a bad.
Yeah, but I like that he's gonna go stunt on somebody first. Like his first is like, my people have returned to me. It's time to attack the humans and reclaim what we've lost. He's like, oh no, the forest god was talking shit. Your boys are gone. They're never coming back. The age of the spirits are over. Well, looky here, bitch. I'm about to pull up to his house, let him know real niggas still active in the streets.
They love me so much they came back from the dead.
From the dead, motherfucker. Look at me and my boys riding around. Then it gets them fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Akoto gets infected with demonitis. The humans knock out San and she gets trapped in all like the tendrils and stuff.
That looks awesome.
Yes, it does. She's getting like kind of like sucked in.
Yeah.
And when they separate and when they're like really taking over again, with the crusties on the eyes and the big yellow eyes that he has. Incredible.
Yeah.
Ashitaka and the wolf respond to another wolf's call and race toward the forest to save San. Ashitaka warns Lady Eboshi that the men are going back to protect the town, and he also wants the humans and the forest to live together in peace. It's like, just work together, guys.
Yeah.
Another great Jigo line here. When you're going to kill a god, let someone else do your dirty work.
Yeah.
Which is smart. It's like, hey, listen, you know what? I'm going to get someone else to do this because I'll get fucked up.
It don't have to be me.
Ashitaka jumps onto Demon Akoto to save San, and the wolves come and start ripping people apart, which is sick.
Yeah.
Mama Wolf starts fighting Demon Akoto. The forest spirit is walking across the water, and one of Jigo's men just shoots the forest spirit. I thought that thing was dead.
Same. I was like, oh, shit.
Writing it down.
Yeah. I was like, ooh. But the forest spirit helps Akoto and the Mama Wolf die. Like, the forest spirit's like, stop fighting, die.
Yeah.
And I think that's saying something as well. It's like sometimes, you know, death is like for progression. Sometimes death is a part of that.
Well, death is inevitable.
Yeah. Right. But like, in order for things to grow, sometimes things need to die. Like the industrialization, you know, that this movie's fucking talking about. Like, a lot of people and animals and land had to die in order for that to progress. You know.
Yeah. I think that's one of the points that one of the big points that the movie's sort of making is that in the end of the day, it doesn't paint the nature as wrong or the humans as wrong necessarily, but he does at least reflect on the inevitability of civilization overcoming nature. And I guess one of the big points of the movie is that he just recommends just empathy and grace and understanding in trying to live together as that sort of transition occurs, and be kind and mindful of you know, your environment around you, not just like the environment, but also just your entire environment around you. I think that's one of the big salient points of the film, is that accepting the inevitability and just trying to make the best of it as things progress. And I think that's what the forest spirit does by euthanizing to the last remaining big gods in its realm, of saying that like, our time has obviously come to an end. Seeing them in pain like that, struggling, hurting, is not doing anybody any good. So it euthanizes them for the sake of understanding that a new age is coming.
Yeah.
San throws Jigo the head of the great spirit after it was cut off. All the tree spirits are falling to the ground. I think that also looks cool as they're all just dropping. The head of the mama wolf just kind of slithers in. I think it does like this weird snake thing where it's just the head and hits Lady Eboshi, hurting her, and a bunch of goo just starts
arm cleared off.
Yeah, right off.
And a bunch of goo just starts taking over the forest. And then we see this giant headless nightcrawler, and he starts like spreading his head over like the entire forest as he's searching, because he doesn't have his head anymore, so it's just like
searching for that head.
Yeah, Charles, I know, I get it. I'm always out there searching for that head. And like he's just taking over the entire forest. It almost looks like a night sky.
Yeah,
it almost
looks great.
Yeah, it's really cool. Almost kind of looks like a night sky tornado.
Yeah.
Ashitaka and San stop Jigo, and they're trying to give the god his head back. They give the forest back its head eventually, and the head immediately starts infecting it with the curse. Once they like lift it up out of the box, and immediately they're both cursed. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
It gets its head back, and the Nightcrawler falls down, totally destroying Irontown. Foliage begins to grow over everything. Yakul finds Ashitaka and San in the forest. They are now both cured from the infection. They part ways. Lady Eboshi now wants to start the town over with a better town. Jigo just kind of gives up. He's like, never mind on this shit.
Yeah, he realized when his goose is cooked.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Get out of there now.
Yeah, he knows when to move on.
When they're trying to have him give the head back and like he's refusing, he says, everybody wants everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just how the world is. And I was like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Everybody is literally taking everything they can until there's nothing left. And that's what this movie's,
including him,
nature.
As he's willing to die instead of relinquish an item that is going to be taken from him after he dies anyway.
Right. So it's just like that line really stuck with me, and I named my song Everything. Everybody wants everything. But it's that was just really good. And then he, eventually everybody works together, like you said. And
and there's an understanding. The forest is still going to try and fight for itself. The people are still going to try to encroach onto the forest, and there's an understanding of the inevitability that reality will one day happen. That humanity will achieve complete dominion over nature.
Right. But it'll always only be temporary, because even if you if you own a house, right? Like I live in this house, but like if I don't keep up maintenance, nature will overcome my house.
Yeah.
Like it is inevitable. You cannot truly defeat nature.
Yeah, no, very true.
And
that is something that they have with the apes planting the trees to regrow the forest. Like there is that give and take. So it's not as if the nature is just lying down. It will persevere if it continues to fight. For long enough and humans dwindle. But
and like Ashitaka is he's mediating between these two things to create the a copacetic world where nature and man can live together. But like here's where I was on the one side of things. I was like, because at the end Lady Eboshi, she's like, oh, I'm going to rebuild it, but better. I'm going to rebuild Irontown, but better. And I was like, what? You didn't learn your lesson? What?
It's the inevitability.
Right. But then, after thinking about it for a while, I was like, oh, she's not the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's not.
There is the
they
element
need to
where,
live too.
Yeah, and they're also they're not just making the guns for pure profit. They're making it to defend themselves against neighbors who want to take them over. There's that. There's
like
that.
They're defending against imperialism.
There's a samurai adjacent to them that wants to conquer them. So there's an element of, if they stopped cutting up the forest and stopped making their weapons, they too would suffer and be taken over. Like the forest is. So there's this element of, like you were saying, everybody wants everything. And the difficulty of that when some people having some things means other people not having, the samurai want to control everything. The Irontown wants independence. The forest wants to be left alone. But, the emperor has to conquer the Irontown in order to own everything. Irontown's got to conquer the forest in order to stay independent. So, yeah. It's more about trying to, unite and treat each other with empathy and grace as much as you can, under the circumstances. And I think that's a very grounded point for him to make. For a movie with a lot of high-ended ideals about environmentalism and about civilization and human nature, it's a very grounded and reasonable lesson that it tries to give. It doesn't try to promise you too much. Doesn't say good is going to conquer over evil. It doesn't even say everything is going to be okay. Miyazaki obviously doesn't like that civilization will eventually take over the forest. Like, that's obviously something that he dislikes and considers sad, but is also an inevitability that he's made peace with, clearly.
Right.
So there is a very grounded, realistic take to it.
This is a good movie.
Yeah, I definitely read this movie as, you can't really be one with nature if you're not one with God, and vice versa. God is nature and nature is God. And when you start, you try to compete with these things and understand, yes, humans have their needs, but it's all been provided for you in a way.
Yeah.
And and eventually nature fights back when you start destroying these things, but it's not out of malice. They're just trying to survive also.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think there's an even more extended point that it makes from that, though, because it is set in our world, right? So the idea is that that doesn't occur, is that the gods, there are no more gods. It takes place in our universe where we know that nature, the gods do lose. Nature also does eventually lose. So I think it's also making a point about the reverence that human beings should live their lives with, and understanding, not that he's directly claiming that these things are real or these are true events or whatever, but that he's making a point about, the events that have shaped the civilization that we live in, or the world that we live in, rather, in a philosophical sense.
So I have a question for the two of you.
Yeah.
Should we go give this a Letterboxd rating?
I believe so, Robbie.
Now, you can follow us, The Royds, on Letterboxd at TheRoydsBand. Devin, do you have a Letterboxd account you want to promote, or do you not do Letterboxd?
I do not. I have not been on the Letterboxd train. I go on the website, I read, and I follow stuff, but I do not have an account.
Well, we do. So follow us, and if Devin creates one, he'll probably let you know.
Yeah.
He'll probably let you know.
You'll find out. You'll hear it through the grapevine.
Listen, I think this is a highly rated movie. It's very high on Letterboxd. It's 4.4 on Letterboxd. I think that's very fair. I like 4.5. If anyone wants to go 5, I'm more than willing on 5. Let me hear yous.
Well, we gave Spirited Away 5.
Yes, we did.
And I did enjoy Spirited Away a little bit more than this. But this is also, overall a more bleak affair than Spirited Away. Spirited Away was a little hopeful. This one is it's a little hopeful at the end, but throughout the whole thing, it's everything's dying and everything sucks. So it's all right. I mean, it's a beautiful movie.
Yes,
just like Spirited Away. I would go 4.5. I think, yeah.
Devin, what are your thoughts?
I probably go about 4.8. This is one of my favorites. This one, Porco Rosso, and Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind are probably my 3 favorites. Though Spirited Away is the first one that I ever saw, so near and dear to my heart. Absolutely.
Same.
Definitely very important one to me. But I definitely like the bleaker ones. So that's why I may rate it a little bit higher. I like the ones that are making where he's really trying to make a very complicated point.
Yeah.
And a very nuanced point. About the world around us and whatnot. There's a lot of, he's not trying to give you any lessons per se, but there's a lot of food for thought about a lot of different concepts that I really enjoy. The voice cast in the English version is 10 out of 10. They brought the heat, down to a man. So yeah, I would definitely put it as I would do 4.5 to 4.8 for me personally.
I think Letterboxd is only 0s and 5s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. True. I forgot about that. See, I'm not a box head. Let's see. Ooh, a 4.5 or a 5. I'd have to give it a 5 then in that case. For me, I'd shoot it a 5. But almost all the early Ghibli movies are almost a 5 for me, so that may be a point of contention.
Robbie, should we just go 5?
Let's go 5. I like
5.
this.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful movie. We're easygoing people. We give a lot of 5s on this because we couldn't do this. So there you go.
Especially this. Like, I feel like with regular movies, it's like, you could get a camera and you could get a, is it going to be great? Yeah. No. But like animation, fuck that, man. You can't do that.
Right.
That's why people like the fucking idiot on Rotten Tomatoes that I was talking about before. Like, oh, it's just a cartoon. You're an idiot.
Yeah. Also, a very fun little history lesson. Like, it is a very, very interesting story about early, not even like early medieval Japan, but like ancient Japan. But just
feudal.
Different, like different types of, the older societies, the newer ones that were replacing them. Or even like touching on the revolution of guns and the egalitarian nature of force that brings, that anybody can pretty much, it used to be pretty much strong people kill weaker people. With the invention of guns, anybody can blow the top off anybody else. So they sort of reference a bit of that. There's a lot of different like historical force thematics in the movie, which I enjoy a whole bunch. Personally, for me, that's always a big 5 out of 5.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of made me think of Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2.
A lot of the very same vibes.
Yeah, like
people that are coming and going. Yeah.
Right. You can't stop progression.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're a part of the old world, like your history.
Yeah.
Dude. See you.
Yeah. And that's a very great parallel, because like the theme of, or like in the universe of Red Dead, we know that their age eventually goes the way of the dinosaur.
Right.
Like we know the future. Like, a lot of them talk like, hey, listen, if we keep going, we'll keep hustling, this will never die. Right. But we know for a fact it does in very short order when that takes place.
In maybe a year. Yeah.
Ron Howard's voice comes over. It did die.
Yeah. And in the same way, we hear this, ostensibly the Princess Mononoke takes place in our universe. So or in our world. So when they talk about like, oh no, through this method and that method, the gods will resurge, will gain their control over Winnow. That's not happening. And even as they talk about the different animals, talk about, oh, by this method or by that method, we'll be able to regain our numbers and control and restart. We know that doesn't happen. Like we know the future of those circumstances. So in a way, there is a melancholic element to it, because we watch people hopeful about a situation that we know does not go well for them at all.
Yeah.
And as is tradition, we're going to go to Tahiti and become mango farmers. Yeah, I remember when Ashitaka looked at his dog and goes, "You're all right, boy." Hey,
all right. I got some trivias, Robbie.
I got 4 trivias, but it's really 3 because Andy knocked one out before, but I'll ask all 4.
It's because I'm the smartest man alive.
Debatable.
For sure, debatable.
Yeah.
I'm just saying flat out wrong.
He said, I appreciate debatable.
Yeah, thanks, man.
that I'm even in consideration.
Devin, you got trivia, or you want to be a contestant? You want to just answer?
Yeah, I'll just answer.
All right, cool. Andy, how many you got?
Right. I got 3.
I got 4.
I thought you said I knocked one out, Robbie.
Yeah, but I said I'm going to ask it anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
Mainly because I was really struggling on this one, because usually I take my trivia during the movie, but that was hard to do because I was focused so hard on the movie.
Yeah, it's a very dense movie, yeah.
Here's my first question, which is very easy. Which of Ashitaka's arms are infected, his right or left?
Andy is right.
Yeah, you just buzz in with your name, by the way, Devin. Now you know.
Oh,
we should have told you that ahead of time.
It's a cheap shot, man.
Yeah.
I just stole that from him. All right.
Go ahead. Yeah, this is right. Yeah, because that's the one that gets the arrow.
Yeah. This movie replaced what movie as the highest grossing movie in Japan? Is it Godzilla, E.T., Jurassic Park, or My Neighbor Totoro?
My Neighbor Totoro.
Devin, My Neighbor
Totoro. Ooh. I thought they would have topped their previous.
What were the options?
Godzilla, E.T., or Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park.
No.
I had no idea.
It is E.T.
Oh.
I can see that.
Sans movements were based on an African wild dog, a mountain dog, a gray wolf, or a hyena.
Andy. A gray wolf?
It is not a gray wolf.
African wild dog.
It is not an African wild dog. Is it a mountain dog or a hyena?
I'm gonna say hyena then.
It's not a hyena.
I'm gonna say the right one.
It's a mountain dog.
A
real mountain dog.
I don't. Hyenas are cats. They're not even a type
Yes,
of
they
dog.
are.
But,
Yeah.
But I did think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the cat side of the string. Yep. Yeah. Also, they both their sexes have penises.
Hyenas are pretty lucky.
Hyena
I wish I was a hyena.
Male and female hyenas both got dicks.
All right.
The trans agenda in hyenas.
Yeah. Let's try this again. 60 million years ago, man. They fucking got it.
Robbie's hero, Harvey Weinstein, originally asked which famous director to write the translated script. Was it Spielberg? Okay, Robbie.
Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino himself, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that one of your questions?
No, it's not.
Oh.
But he was an option.
Yeah, he said no, but he gave it to Neil Gaiman.
Yeah,
I'm
It's
glad,
another one of
because
Robbie's heroes.
He wouldn't get it. Neil Gaiman would.
Yeah, no, Neil Gaiman's great, but he also just got in trouble for
No. I'm aware of the
stuff.
allegations.
That's why I said Robbie's.
Yeah, I'm
Robbie's
talking-
hero again.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could tell you couldn't tell because you were like, "What did he do?"
Yeah.
He's got some allegations.
Yeah.
Stay away from the young fans.
Oh no.
Oh, you didn't know?
sucks 'cause he
Yeah,
makes great
He's got some groomies.
Yeah.
Which doesn't, when you read, it's bad, but it lines up with pretty much what you would. Yeah, I get that.
Yep.
I get that vibe from.
You got to separate the art from the artist nowadays, don't you?
Yeah. Like you got it. Yeah. He seems like a lot of his type. I see it's so many in that type of guy where they got too much like young nerd syndrome in them. So they can't just be like, no, this is an inappropriate situation for me to be in. They get like, they see that sensual go and they fucking run for it. Stupid shit every time.
Yep.
I thought Tarantino turned it down because he just wanted a bunch of sans feet shots.
Dude, the movie would have sucked so bad. And I'm not even a Tarantino hater at all, but it's just not in his avenue of thought.
This is very different.
That you wouldn't, he'd be like, no, so who wins? Like, so in the end, like they fuck up the forest fuck up them. Like you would not, like a nuanced thing.
Everybody
about,
would be effing and jeffing the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, also that too.
So my next question is answered then, because it was going to be who wrote the English translation, but it was Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll ask my final question then.
Okay.
This takes place during what period in Japan? The Asuka period, the Kamakura period, the Muromachi period, or the Edo period?
Read them again.
The Asuka period, the Kamakura period, the Muromachi period, or the Edo period?
It's the Muromachi period.
It is the Muromachi period, yes.
Damn. Who was originally eyed to dub the voice of Ashitaka? Was it Elijah Wood, Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, or Will Smith?
Rob. Leo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
He probably would have been good because it's Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more the year than anything else.
Yeah.
They would have been stuffing him in anything.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Robbie, I wrote a song.
So did I. That's fucking nuts, guys. I can't believe we wrote songs like that.
Devin, would you like to choose which song you'd like to hear first?
You know what? You go first. Let's see it.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
My song is called Everyone Wants Everything. Or Everybody Wants Everything.
I know what boys want.
I know. God. All right. So I talked about it earlier. I went with kind of an ambient thing because I got I use 2 delays on this one. I use my amps delay and the delay pedal, so it's real ambient ass bullshit. Also, I've been kind of sick, so my voice kind of sucks on it. I think I'm gonna re-record it, but just in case I don't, please forgive my vocals. But yeah, it's called Everyone Wants Everything, and it goes like this. That's my song called Everyone Wants Everything.
I got a very new wave feel to it. I dig it.
That slapped. Yeah, no, for sure.
Oh, thank you.
They did.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I played the guitar solo on one string just to like challenge myself.
Uh-huh.
That's real Neil Young shit.
Yeah.
Also, I like the vocals, man. I thought whatever you had going on definitely participated or amplified the effect. I dug it.
I appreciate it. I believe that I am going to redo them because
try and monitor and reincorporate some of that stuff in then, because whatever was happening was I could hear what you were talking about, but it added to the grunginess of it.
Okay, maybe I'll just throw like a harmony or something on the last chorus because when you double up the chorus, you should probably throw a harmony or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, lyrically, not a lot going on. Just like, the one line really. I mean, more than one line stuck out to me, but that one really stuck out. It kind of sums up the whole issue. Is everyone wants everything, and everybody's going to just keep taking until there's nothing left, and it's inevitable. But Robbie, how about your song?
My song I also played a lot with delay
Nice.
effects on the guitar. My song's called "One with Nature, One with God," and it's it's based on the movie Princess Mononoke.
Interesting. What made you do that?
I've heard of that one.
And that's the concept of this podcast, Andy.
Oh shit!
It's kind of what we do here.
I just did it, didn't I?
Yeah, you just did it. You just set me off, Andy. So you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to play my song. That's how angry I am. Here's my song. It's called...
He's furious.
I'm so angry. My song is called "One with Nature, One with God." Just like Andy's, it's got a lot of reverb, a lot of delay on it. I think it's got an indie vibe to it personally, but we'll see how it sounds. And here it is.
Friends with nature, only got one planet and it's not worth the wager. Can't expect heaven if you cut down Eden. Can't expect mercy if you're killing for no reason. You think you're the only one that is cursed. The whole world else people have it worst. Searching for gold or a way to live forever. Greed is the reason we can't work together. We call it a tragedy when nature fights back. We all act shocked like we're under attack. We cut down the jungles, the forests and the trees. We're working on the rhinos, the sharks and the fleas. It's not just killing nature, it's also killing God. We can't even work together cause we're all a bunch of frauds. Being one with God is being one with nature. You don't give a damn about your legislature. Hate spreads like only hate can. Nature's unconcerned with the goals of with nature, gotta show respect for every living creature. Gotta have empathy for every living thing. Take time to listen to the songbirds sing. Being friends with God means being friends with nature. Maybe show some respect to our creator. Gotta leave a space for flora and fauna if we ever want a chance at reaching nirvana. Hate spreads like only hate can. Concerned with the goals of Being one with God means being one with nature. Being one with nature means being one with God. Being one with God means being one with nature. Being one with nature means being one with God. Being one with God means being one with nature. Being one with nature means being one with God. Being one with God means being one with nature. Being one with nature means being one with God. Being one with God means being one with nature. Being one with nature means being one with God. Being one with God means being one with nature. Being one with nature means being one with God. Being one with God means being one with nature. Being one with nature means being one with God. Being one with God means being one with nature. Being one with nature means.
So that was my song called "One with Nature, One with God."
I like that. Also slap.
Thank you. Like I said, a lot of delay work here on this week.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
it seemed like very similar time periods.
Yeah.
The soundtrack or the score rather really I don't know, I can't speak for you, but it inspired me on Spirited Away as well. It's very like airy, very like, and when I think airy I think delay,
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
No, I definitely get that too. That's definitely what I was going for too. Just like it's very airy.
It's on a very They Might Be Giants. I heard a lot. I heard.
Okay,
They
yeah.
Might
Alright.
Be Giants has 5 in there for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about that other than it's about Princess Mononoke and being, God and nature. It's all one, brother.
Yeah.
We all got to work together.
I liked when it opened up, like in your song, like the big beefy power chords, blam blam, and the halftime.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
That's what made me really feel like it was like an indie vibe song. When it just went halftime for a second at the end. I was like,
bro.
I was like, this is a real indie vibe here.
I did it in my last chorus as well. It's what you got to do. Sometimes you just got to cut that time right in half, brother.
Yeah, it sounds really fucking good.
Well, Devin, would you like to promote your socials one last time?
Yes, it's going to be Devin Bramble, DevinBramble, everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Gmail, Bank of America.
Oh, be careful.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I would love to get you back on here for
for
movie
sure.
of
I would
your
love
choice.
to. I had an absolute blast.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, this was so much fun. We'd love to have you back. So follow Devin on all the socials he just gave you. Very easy, Devin Bramble.
Thanks for having me. This is a super fun time.
Yeah. Thanks for being on it. Let me tell you where you can find the music. You go to
Andy. Before we do that,
what? Oh, what's going on next week, Robbie? I fucked it all up.
Because we're doing a very similar movie next week.
Are we?
No, we're doing Fight Club.
That's what I thought. I was like, what?
Yeah, we're doing Fight Club next week.
All right. Well, now that we know what we're doing next week, let me tell you where you can get the music. You go to Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, wherever you get your music. Yeah, wherever you get your music, and you type in The Royds, and you will find a nice collection of songs, right? Whether they're from the podcast or from regular studio recordings. But also, if you want everything, you go to TheRoyds.bandcamp.com, and everything's there. Bonus songs, guest songs, every single song the Royds have ever recorded, it's there for you. Also, the YouTube. All the songs are on the YouTube. Robbie, the socials.
Real quick, just want to add on to something you're saying there.
Yeah.
Without bonus episodes, this is episode 142 of the Royds Review podcast, which means that is 284 songs at least about movies on theroyds.bandcamp.com.
Wow.
And that's before bonus songs. So we're nearing 300 songs on that platform there if you're interested.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
TheRoyds.bandcamp.com.
Oh, that's that. Yeah, that.
Just tell it a call. Two brothers scrap metal. You go to Instagram. You go to YouTube. I don't think you're allowed on TikTok anymore, but you could try it if you're not in the US. And you could type in TheRoydsBand. There we are. There we be. Click the link, and then you'll see a bunch of posts about our music and podcasts.
Wow.
You can also send us
the word.
Bird. And that is the word. You send us an email at roydsreview@gmail.com. Wherever you are listening to us, give us a 5-star rating and review. It greatly helps us out. Request a movie. We did this movie as a request from a listener on Spotify comments. So if you comment and request a movie, we will do it, to it, through it, blew it, screw it. Come on, guys, help me out here. Poo it.
Askew it.
Askew it. I'm avoiding
continuity.
That's good. I'm avoiding J.
Shit.
Goo it. All right, that's enough. But yeah, follow us, listen to us. Devin, thank you again for being here. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me. Had a blast.
Awesome.
And
thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you next week for Fight Club.
Yeah, we'll see you later.